in the case.
Vincent! We happy? Yeah, we happy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi guys, welcome to the What's in the Briefcase podcast. I'm Jacob.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Joseph.
And today we're going to talk about what makes us us. And we're going to use some excerpts from the article, What Makes a Person? The 7 Layers of Identity in Literature and Life by Maria Popova. Before we start, I'll just say the quotes I found very interesting. In the article, there's a quote by Amin Malouf. I hope I'm saying that right. The genes of the soul is like a pattern drawn on a tightly stretched parchment. Touch just one part of it, just one allegiance, and the whole person will react. The whole drum will sound. And another quote by Courtney Martin is, "It's never been more asked of us to show up as only slices of ourselves in different places." And Amelie Rorty has a quote that I found very profound. They were talking about characters versus people in real life, and characters in books and stories. And the quote is, "When society has changed so that individuals acquire their rights by virtue of their powers, rather than having their powers defined by their rights, the concept of person has been transformed to a concept of self. The quality of an individual self is determined by his qualities. They are his capital, to invest well or foolishly." So I found these quotes very intriguing because, yeah, go ahead.
If I may, I really found the one by Courtney Martin to be, it's never been more asked of us to show up as only slices of ourselves in different places.
Right.
I feel like that most people can relate to that, right?
Because we use different facades for every situation.
Yeah, so in a classroom, I'm not talking the same way that I talk to you guys off the stream, or, I talk to my brother or even to my parents. Things are either more impersonal, or they're maybe with friends, I'm more likely to be crass. And I personally have had a lot of instances where I'm like in a cafeteria and a professor of mine will tap on my shoulder, and then I will actually be in this state where I'm stammering because I don't know what to do, because I'm just so not ready to talk to this person in this setting.
Right. So I've been in that situation too. Like I have trouble, not trouble, but I also stammer around my words, and I kind of stumble around, and I don't really know what to say sometimes. And I think that's part of the facades we have, because I'm not used to one of the facades in class. I think we have to develop certain personalities for different situations. So
what about you, Joseph?
Yeah.
And I think what you guys said has a lot of merit. I'm just still trying to think what I can.
When you do you ever run into somebody like in a place that you wouldn't normally see them? Like, do you ever run into your mom in the place you work or something like that, and then you're like, the wires are crossing, I don't know what to do?
Yeah.
Well, one time I did see my old history teacher at the movie theater.
Right, where you work.
That was pretty funny.
So did you like phase right into that, or were you able to adapt to that, or did you feel like weirded out by it?
No, I was able to adapt to it because he was like, I was working at the time, and he was like, getting popcorn and drinks, so it was kind of easy.
Yeah, you see, I feel like that's different between you and me and Jacob. Is me and Jacob are like, I feel like you're more honest to yourself, so the way you act tends to be more uniform wherever you are. Is that at all right, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, but me and Jacob are like little psychopaths. We're two-faced psychopaths.
Kevin, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself when you say psychopath. I'm not a psychopath.
We're putting on a different face for everyone. So that's why we're having all this cognitive. Maybe it's not normal. Maybe it's not like the quote was, we've never been more asked of us to show up as only slices of ourselves in different places. Maybe it just, that's not a normal thing we should ask of people. Maybe Joseph got it because Joseph's just like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, what? This isn't a problem. This is just, they're just people.
Well, I was in this class called Thinking and Overthinking. I took
Yeah.
two semesters ago, and we were talking about overthinking, and like that was the whole point of the class, talking about and how characters in books overthink and how we overthink. And
Right.
some of the people in the class were basically everyone in the class was saying, I tend to overthink things and I tend to put on different faces for everyone. But should we really have to do that? They all said that. So it's like we're not alone in that, and it's great like to be yourself around everyone. But
Yeah,
I just can't do that.
Have you ever, for some reason, really wanted to, you just meet some stranger and you just kind of want to impress them? I know this sounds weird, but you just kind of want to impress them. But because of that, you just start feeling like you're acting fucking weird. Oh, I cursed. I'm sorry. But you start feeling like you're acting super weird around them.
Yeah, I mean that's happened. I mean it's happened a lot. I mean like
Yeah,
Joseph,
when I
do
went
you
on
have
a
this problem? Or feel like
yeah,
you
when I went
don't?
on a job interview, like
Yeah.
right.
talking to a complete stranger I've never met before.
Yeah, but that's appropriate there because you're expected to do that.
Right.
Well,
I mean, I've met with strangers and well, not strangers, but people I know who my family knows, and I've acted very strange because sometimes I don't know what to say.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh no, that's happened to me multiple times.
yeah, right.
Like
So
people would walk
that's
up
kind
to
of
my mom, and she would know them, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are. It's like, hi.
No, it's me. It's me. It's your aunt. Your aunt Dorcas. It's me, your aunt Dorcas.
Still doesn't change the fact I don't know who you are. I'm like,
No, we're gonna pretend to know each other now. We're gonna pretend to know. I've always been here. Your aunt Dorcas. You've known me for the full
and
5 seconds that lasted an
and
eternity.
the worst is, oh yeah, I remember you when you were like this, Tom. Like, okay,
I don't.
okay, cool.
I don't remember me when I was that tall.
yeah. Well, I think that like we should just kind of address the question: do we even know who we are? Like, can we make a statement about who we are, or like, are we always changing no matter we're in every situation?
It's fine with that because I feel like there's two contrasting ideas with that.
Yeah.
There's the idea of we are most defined, like there's the idea that we're most defined, like who we are is most defined by our interactions with others and what we leave behind. And then there's the idea that we are most defined by what we do when no one's looking, and that defines our integrity, right?
Right.
And this is mentioned in the article, those two differences. And I subscribe to the latter one because I feel like if you're only doing good things because people are watching you, it doesn't really matter. But
Right.
yeah, if you're doing good things just to do good things, if nobody knows you did the good thing, that means it's a better thing because there's less incentive. So it's more coming out of yourself.
Right, and I think this goes back to social media because we're kind of doing things like we post. I've seen people post good deeds they've done. Like that's weird, right? Like
Yeah,
They're just trying to get attention. They're just attention.
virtue. I guess they call it virtue signaling. And listen, I don't want to discourage people from doing good things. And sometimes you can like signal boost something by putting it on social media, like a charity or something. But like I saw this video of this guy handing out water to these homeless dudes, and that's a good thing, and I'm really glad he was doing that. But he was saying, yeah, I'm handing out this water to these guys. I just thought, he was like narrating it, and he's doing like, oh, maybe next time I should bring a first aid kit. And then these like guys are like, oh, thank you so much for this. You know, I wouldn't even bring the first aid kit. People will just try to take advantage of you. But like this guy's clearly putting it, why are you putting this on YouTube? This is
Right.
like, you could just do this thing and it would be a really good thing to do. And I'm not saying every time we hear a report of somebody doing something, like someone reported on people doing good things, I'm not saying that all those people are just doing it for, social media points, but I am saying if you like give a homeless man $1, you shouldn't like, hey, can we take a selfie of me giving you the, You
Right.
know?
Yeah. So it
Yeah,
kind
now
of
you're just being an attention hog.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what social media is. It's a it's the best version of yourself, and you're trying to get attention and likes.
There's this one memory
That's
I
other
have.
people. That's not me.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
it's you. I'm just saying.
yeah, me neither. I think me and Joseph are kind of on well, my like you guys on my Facebook profile is just a picture I drew in MS Paint of myself, and I wrote artistic rendering,
Yeah.
and it's because I don't want to fall into that trap of like making a fake person for other people to see.
Right. Well,
Because I saw in my high school, I remember seeing this one girl, and this was a nice person, but she was like, you know, kind of like she looked a little down that day, frowning. Takes out her phone, takes a selfie. She makes a really pretty face, like, and then she puts down her phone. She looks sad again. I'm like, oh, that's a sad thing I just saw. That made me feel bad vicariously, because it makes me think that like she's making everybody else think.
Happy, but not herself.
Yeah, exactly. She's making an illusion, and that's like infectious, because then other people see this illusion online of other people being happy, and then they feel obliged to do the same thing whether they're happy or not.
Like couple goals on Instagram or Snapchats.
There you go.
yeah. I don't really use social media like just for that reason. I just hate the whole facade of it. Like the whole thing is
I use social media for laughs.
right. You use it to boost your happiness, and that's important. But I think like when you project this image of yourself that may not be true, it's like I'm not doing that. You know.
One director that I feel like I'm not going to get too into it because I don't want to get too off topic, but one director that kind of touches on this kind of thing is David Lynch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but his show Twin Peaks, the premise of it is this girl, Laura Palmer, in this really nice, rich, not rich, you know, it's a very nice town, small town of Twin Peaks. She gets murdered. And then people are like, oh my God, she was the prom queen. Oh my God, how could this happen? And nobody thinks this isn't the place that a murder would happen. And this isn't the girl that would get murdered. But then the more they investigate into it, and the more and I'm not going to say anything else because I love that show and I advise anybody to watch it. The more people that actually knew her, they say, no, things weren't so perfect. Underneath it all, things are kind of messed up with this girl. And I'm not going to go any further than that. But I feel like David Lynch likes doing things like that, where there's the surface thing where you see a self that is a lot more picture. It's same in his movie Blue Velvet. There's like the surface picture perfect world, and then underneath it is a grosser world.
Right. That's interesting. But I think it goes back to like, do we even know ourselves, or do we know other people and how they're feeling? Like, can we make a statement about ourselves that tells us who we are?
I feel like the ego is so involved in it, or you know, I feel like we can't really, because like we're the most biased person, you know.
Right.
Like no one's gonna say like, you know, well, actually some people do say I'm a bad person, right? But like we're not good at properly diagnosing ourselves as bad people or good people. Or I really think that's something that we can't judge for ourselves because we have an inherent bias.
Right. I mean, it's definitely not binary though. It's not black or white. Like it's not good or bad. I think that it's complicated. And I think that we need to kind of like dig deeper and look at our actions. Like, do you guys think that we change every day, or do we stay the same?
Like, I think it's a little bit of both. Like sometimes people change every day. You learn something new, or just some people just choose to stay the same and be ignorant, or just go on with their lives.
Right. Well, I was watching this video about what makes us us, and some people were saying one of the questions was, do we change or stay the same? And one of the answers was, oh, we definitely stay the same. But then another answer was, oh no, we're definitely changing every day. We're constantly experiencing new things and maybe thinking about new things and improving upon ourselves, or you know, not doing as well. So I don't know what to think. I think I'm changing every day, but I'd like to think that. But
The Kevin from yesterday is a completely different Kevin, I think, than Kevin from today. And that's why when I make my time machine, I go back in time, we fight to the death. We fight to the death to see who deserves.
yeah, I mean, when I look back like a decade ago on myself, I definitely see a different person. Like I was so shy back then. Like I would never do this podcast back then.
You see,
know?
when I imagine myself, my younger self, I think if I met him, I'd freaking hate him. Like I'd want, like if I could time travel back in time to when I was like 14 and I didn't need to worry about disrupting the space-time continuum or something, like I could somehow get away with this without consequences, I might be like, oh, I hate looking at you. Just kick him in the stomach a bit, just like, like come on, you little bratty hormonal teenager, you deserve this. Because like I really don't like my past self. I prefer my current self.
Joseph, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a different person than when I was back when I was a kid.
Right.
I was extremely shy as a kid.
Right. Same with me. So I think we can all agree that we're changing.
So we're all going to mutually build a Terminator and send it to kick all of our past selves in the stomach. That's what we're making a pact for, right?
Where's John Connor?
John Connor. Where is Joseph? Where is Jacob?
No, please stop.
Where is
Stop.
Kevin? I can't do the voice.
Stop.
So I think we can all agree that we're changing daily.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't really define who we are. Like we'd have to have a new definition every day. But I can also think of a statement for myself. What, Joseph?
So unless you're on your deathbed,
yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, I guess at that point you're kind of at the final moment. You're like, you know what? This is going to be the last of me. This is the ultimate me. You know?
I mean, in general, we change every day unless you're dying. But
it's funny though, because do we change for the better? Because sometimes you change for the worse, right?
Well, that's for you to decide.
Technically, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I wonder if people ever end up on their deathbed and they're like, oh, the 20-year ago version of me was like a better person than I am now. I suck now. I mean, I know that sounds like a weird. It's like with Ted Bundy. When he was a kid, his parents are like, he was the nicest little angel. He was, and people didn't really think he would turn out to be a serial killer.
But then he hit puberty. Then it all changed.
Yeah. Then what?
Oh, it's like Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Mm-hmm. Everything was peaceful until the Fire Nation attacked.
Yeah, everything was peaceful until Aang strangled his first woman. And then he started mastering all the 4 elements in order to go on a serial killing spree. That's the plot of Avatar. In case anybody doesn't know, Avatar: The Last Airbender is a show where the TV show's plot is a young boy who's the embodiment of the Avatar, and he can master all 4 elements, and he uses it to go on a serial killing spree to kill as many people as possible until the police finally catch him. And then when he does, he makes a whole show out of his trial. It's really a very, very interesting show. I definitely recommend it.
I hope people know that Kevin's using sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get back on topic.
Oh, Paul, my apologies. Jacob told us not to do that.
It's all right, no problem. But do you think that we'd have to have a different definition every day for ourselves, or every other day, whatever it is?
Honestly, I think if you think about it too much, your brain's gonna melt.
Yeah, but just
no. I'm being serious though. I know I'm not trying to be dismissive. I mean, I think it's not healthy for us to think like that, because I don't think we're built to think like that. I don't think we're built to think, I'm not the same person I was yesterday. The yesterday me. I think fundamentally what we have to do is we have to take responsibility for our actions, atone for our mistakes, and constantly work to be a better person.
Yeah.
Aside from that, aside from the mistakes we know we have to atone and learn from, and the wrongdoings we have to atone for, I don't think our past selves really matter as much.
Well, I'm just asking if we know who we are. Like, that's the main point of the of the question, because like
I am a human.
you're a human. That is true. You are a human, or are
You know,
you? I don't know if you are.
Some people say that like
That a great being in the sky named Xenu.
Xenu. Oh God, no way. We don't want to get sued. Wait, we can't talk about that. But some people believe. My mom is into this Course in Miracles stuff, and I don't know too much about it. But I think she kind of believes that the reality, and I might be completely wrong here, I might be misquoting it, but like the reality we exist in is kind of like a collective dream we all made. And that's why it's all imperfect and shitty, is because humans aren't good at making our own reality. But so it's almost like everything we know is a collective delusion. So in that belief system, we do not know ourselves. I'm pretty sure I just butchered the entire belief system, though. I don't really know what I'm talking about in that respect.
That kind of reminds me of this theory that I heard of, that like all of just like if you imagine all of humanity's consciousness as a net, and that each intersecting point that's someone else's consciousness, so that we're all connected in a single conscience, constantly.
We are the Borg.
I mean, it's definitely different in every like religion or belief system, but
You know, actually, I think that's an important thing to talk about if we're talking about this, because some religions believe that your character is predefined.
right.
Like, there was like different parts of Christianity, right? I forgot which ones it was, but some believe that's defined. You're like a wicked person right off the bat,
Yeah.
and that defines your later actions. And then some believe that whether you're an evil or a good person is defined by your actions before. So can a person, or what I think could be, it was one of these old Greek guys. It could have been Socrates. I'm going to say Socrates. It could have been Aristotle or Plato. I don't know. I think it was Socrates. I think he said, right, Plato, I'm sorry. But Socrates, I think it was Socrates. He said, our actions define our habits, and our habits define our character, right? So the more you do an action, like say I litter once, that's just one action. If I don't make a habit of it, that doesn't really mean I'm a litterer as part of my character, right? But say I litter like every day, then that's a habit. And because it's a habit, that works its way into my character. I'm the guy that doesn't care about his environment, and that's why I'm littering. But, and I think that's a pretty good way of thinking about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, it also leads into the question, like, are we defined by our surroundings only, or like our experiences? Like, is that what we're defined by? Like, I know we're shaped by our experiences, but are we defined by them also?
Depending on what we experience, because like if someone goes through something like really traumatic, that's something that's different. Then like that experience doesn't define who they are. It happened to them, but it doesn't define who they are. Because like some people, after they've gone through a traumatic experience, like they feel like, oh man, I'm just a victim. I've just been someone who's been abused. But no, that's not accurate. It just happened. That just happened to happen to you. You're not a victim. That doesn't have to define who you are.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you're more than what happened to you. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's tricky, because I think the things that happen to us shape who we are, but they don't entirely define it, right? You ultimately determine your fate. But this is something that comes into mind in law with punishment, is do we allow these previous experiences to mitigate the punishment for a crime? Like, let's say a guy killed someone.
Mm-hmm.
But then we look into this guy's past and we find out like his parents were both incredibly abusive, and he lived under the Harry Potter stairs, if you know what I'm talking about. Like Harry Potter lived in like a little closet under the stairs, and they always, and as soon as he got out of that little Harry Potter closet, they just beat the heck out of him. They did that every day until he left the house, had 14, and then at 14 he was like, turned into like, I don't know, he had like bad stuff happened on the streets.
Well,
Do we mitigate the punishment because of all of that? I think we should.
like, do you mean by mitigate? Do you mean like we should change?
We should
like,
lessen it. Like, I'm not saying
I
not
don't.
punish the guy, but I'm
I
saying
don't
we take extenuating circumstances into account.
like. I don't think we should. I don't think we should because again, just because he went through all that as a kid, like, because there are many people who have had terrible childhoods or
And they
had
come out.
terrible experiences growing up, but they've taken what they experienced and used it to better themselves and also the people around them. So at that point, it comes to a mental standpoint. Like, so
The way I think of it is, I don't know, kind of like like fractions, where if you have like a person, let's say if this person has a healthy, completely healthy upbringing, this said person, we could somehow calculate, will have only a 1 out of 20 chance of becoming like a murderer if they have a completely healthy upbringing. But if you put them through an abusive upbringing, that could turn out 1 in a 20 to 1/2 chance. I feel like that's not too impossible to imagine, right?
No, it's not too possible at all because it's technically it's reality for a lot of people. So I'm just saying, if you for like a lot of poor people, if you grew up in a household this is like one of the statistics is like, if someone in your family went to prison for whatever it is, you are 10 times more likely to end up going to prison. That doesn't mean you will, but there's a higher chance of you going to.
Statistically.
Another example is teenage pregnancy. So say if
Your mother was a teenager.
Say if this kid's mother had them when she was 16, that kid is 10 times more likely to.
When you say 10 times, is that like a statistic, or like, I know you're right that it's more likely, but are you saying 10 times to say like it's more likely, or are you saying it out of a statistic?
Just to say more likely. I don't know.
I get what you mean though. That's true. There's a cycle with it. And I think that it should, and it does in law, it does mitigate it at times. Like, judges use their own discretion when they make a sentence, and they take into account circumstances that, led up to this. And they take into account a lot of things. They take into account past circumstances. They also take into account if the person expresses remorse for their actions. But it's funny because, oh my God, I completely lost my train of thought. Why was it funny? Well, not funny. Oh my God, I swear to God, I had somebody I was going to follow it up with. Someone else take over. I'm here.
Well, I think what you're saying is that it's kind of defined by, like, let's say in a crime, the judge, and in what we're.
I'm so sorry. I remember now. I'm sorry. Can I finish? I'm sorry. Sometimes states have mandatory sentences, which means the judge can't apply that discretion, right?
Yeah.
So, and that means that they're not allowed to take into account these other things, and they have to do, if the jury finds them guilty of this crime, we have to give them, say, 30 years, 20 years life. We're not allowed to take into account these other things. And I don't think that should be how we do things. But I'm sorry. I've talked for too long.
No, I was just saying. Well, I was saying that what happens to the person who did the crime is basically defined by the judge, and in our experience, it's defined by ourselves. So, but what Joseph said before is very accurate. That, or in my opinion, is accurate. That we shouldn't be defined by our experiences, like a traumatic event or something like that. And I think that we should be defined by ourselves, and I mean, to some extent, experiences, but I think we should be defined by what was before us, like our old selves, but also who we are now and our improved selves, or not improved selves, like maybe you decreased in that. But yeah,
maybe the way to think of it is we're defined by how we react. to our experiences. So our experiences can be unique, and
Yeah.
that can completely shape who we are. But maybe it's like a branch, like that activates I don't know, like this sounds stupid, like it activates a story branch in a way from like a choose your own adventure book where this thing happened to you. Like say I got punched in the face one day. Ow. I got punched in the face one day. And that just happened out of nowhere. And that led to like a new branch of what do I do in response? How do I respond to getting punched in the face? Do I punch him in the face? Do I call the police? Do I run away? Do I pee my pants? Do I pee and poop my pants at the same time? What do I do? And how I react to getting punched in the face under that immense pressure, maybe that goes into defining who I am.
Right. And yeah, that's definitely part of our experience is how we react to what's happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great point. And I think it's a good place to stop is here. And maybe we can say a statement where you're trying to define yourselves. Like I'll start. I'm Jacob. I'm a good-hearted person who's trying to improve every day. Yeah, go ahead, guys.
I'm Kevin. I'm a stable-ish person trying to get more stable every day.
I'm Joseph. I like to stay true to myself wherever I go.
All right, that's great. Thanks for listening, guys. See you in the next episode.